Hey, let's get this show on the road. As usual, I'm just gonna quickly share the link to the group. Eventually, we'll move beyond that, and that won't be necessary. So, hope everybody's looking forward to that day. We'll have a couple special screens set up, and we'll make the whole process a little bit smoother. Give me one moment, and we'll get cracking. I have quite the idea for today. I have a little bit of an agenda, so we're going to deviate from our usual game plan and do something a little bit different, a little bit novel. Hope the volume is good for everybody, and if you're having any trouble, of course, just let me know in the comments section. Okay, and that should be that. So the first thing that I really wanted to go over today is actually a little bit of character creation. I know that we've done a lot of discussions, and a lot of work surrounding the narrative. We've worked with Amos and Elbrindel to tell their story. We've done some dice roll, we've done some combat. But I'd actually like to deviate from the usual game plan here and look a little bit at character creation. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Roll20. It's basically a tabletop simulator, an online app, we'll call it, that works with many different game systems, from Dungeons and Dragons to Shadowrun, Call of Cthulhu, all of these tabletop pen and paper RPGs. But essentially, we're going to use this this tool to create character sheets for Amos and Elbrindel, which I've been ducking for a while and will be no longer. So I brought that screen up so that we can all have a little bit of a look at it. It's a very, very easy process. I'm the GM of this game. I'd also like to point out, with a little bit of humor, that when I was hastily constructing this this game earlier, I misspelled shipwreck. So it doesn't matter how much education you have and how many books you've read or written, you can still make funny mistakes. But I decided to leave it in there for now because I got a bit of a chuckle out of it, and I hope you do too. So without further ado, we're going to create Amos. Amos is, of course, as we determined before, landlocked pirate. So we're going to give him fighter classes. So let's just get started and see how this works out. So we're going to have to choose a race, as you can see, in Dungeons & Dragons. Again, I don't want to waste too much time with this. Many of you are familiar with it. You have a number that you can choose from: Dragonborn, Dwarf, Elf, a lot of stock fantasy archetypes. We are going to make him a human. His alignment. I mean, this isn't really as important as it used to be in previous editions, where it was actually tied to many abilities and such. And again, we're going to be working loosely with this framework. We're not going to stick strictly to D&D. It's meant to be more of a guideline for how we're going to be telling our story. And he is a pirate. We're going to go with chaotic neutral. My personal favorite alignment, if anybody who plays with me probably knows that. Okay, so he does get common, and it looks like we're going to be able to give him an extra language as well. I will say that he can also speak. It's a strange one. We're not going to do any sub-races. We're going to keep it fairly broad and general. You can see humans, of course, we all know what humans are all about. They get an ability score increase, so we'll be applying that to his base rolls, which I'm going to be very generous about. Because we had... Thanks, Dave. Yeah, chaotic neutral is the way to go. But yeah, we're going to be going forward with that. And we'll see how that goes. So, alright, we're going to go next. He is a fighter. That's the closest thing, I think, to what we've been doing with Amos so far. In terms of his skill proficiencies, there's a little bit of thinking to do here. Acrobatics, tumbling, climbing, things like this. Sometimes strength can come into play. Animal handling. It doesn't seem like a strength of his so far, but we'll see. I guess he can handle those harpies. Athletics, history, insight, perception, and survival. Makes sense for him to have survival, I think. And I think we're also going to give him perception. I think that makes sense. Perception is super important because, of course, that's what you're going to rely on for spotting your enemies and things of this nature. I noticed that my actual chat window is not working right now, but I can see you chatting, so feel free to leave those comments. Don't know what's up with that. That might be one of those strange things that just happens. Okay. Fighting style. Well, he is going to be good at. So, you know, AC is always a good thing to add in. Armor class means the higher your armor class, the harder you are to hit. So, Amos has had a couple problems with that, and also he is going to be picking up some armor eventually, so that should be helpful. Okay. Next it is. We're just going to do custom here. And I'm going to go back and consult our story just to make sure that we have Amos's all of his numbers in place. Strength +1. X +1, con +1, so that's 3 +1s. And like I said, we're going to be fairly generous with him. I'm just going to set them for now 12. And we'll see. Like, I think it's the even numbers that are the top end of the range for the bonus, so I could be wrong about that, but I think that's correct. Intelligence, I think a 9. Wisdom is a 0, that's a flat 10. And if you don't know about these numbers, of course, like I said, if you're not familiar with the system, don't worry about it too much. They're just meant to broadly represent the capabilities of the character, and again, we're not going to be too strict about that. Backgrounds, this is always cool. I don't think we can do too much here. It's going to be a custom, and we're not going to apply that right now. Just going to go ahead. For some reason, they're not. They don't have a lot of the base ones from the player's handbook included here, and I don't care to spend 5 to 10 minutes perusing the handbook and importing one. So I'll add that in later. It's not super important. It just adds usually 1 or 2 ability proficiencies, and we can work from there. I mean, he could get chainmail as a fighter, and that's probably better, but his situation doesn't really allow for that. We are going to give him a couple hand axes. And it looks like we have almost everything here, and I'm not going to do the age or the height or the weight right now either way. The point is just to sub-race. He's a standard human. Yeah. I'm not sure about the feet situation here. Again, I'll have to consult the player's handbook eventually and go ahead and actually make that change. But for now, we're going to just make Amos. I don't want to do this twice. It's a little bit monotonous to roll through twice in a row. So we'll skip that entirely. Oh, hey Mark, welcome to the stream. And brawling. I mean, he might get there. Oh, character mants are going to be great. Going to throw some wrenches in the gears right away. Alright, you know what? Whatever technology. We're going to go back to the tried and true method of writing the story and just roll with what we have. I have enough knowledge of that system, but I just want to show you the character mancer. It is very ironic that on a live stream it decided to give me a hard time with it. Oh. Let's try it again here real quick. No? Okay, alright. Sure, you want to be like that? I'm going to go back. We're going to cancel. We're going to save and exit. And here's his sheet. It hasn't applied anything to it. I'm going to manually create this later. But no big deal. Just wanted to show you the character master. It is very funny that it decided not to work during a live stream. But them's the breaks, folks. Okay, so the situation is we're actually at the mouth of the cave. Of course, Amos and Elbrindel had spotted a goblin, I guess we'll call him a scout, that was out near the mouth of this cave, and decided to take a shot at him from, you know, by surprise. Unfortunately, it went wide. They had a bit of a scuffle. Not enough of a noise was made to alert his companions, so they decided to set up a tripwire at the mouth of the cave, and they basically got down and dirty, caked their hands in dirt, sand, and mud, run their palms along the cord. So basically scavenged rope, wire, and they're just gonna place the body out there by the shoals and see if they can actually manage to summon any more friends out and maybe lighten the load of what they might have to do when they enter the cave and delve into this dungeon. So, what we're gonna do first is gonna actually everybody get. Oh my god! No shoutouts. I guess I can see that we have myself commenting, so I'm gonna presume that's my wife Jessica at the PC in the other room. I wish the chat was actually working so that everybody could see that, but it is what it is. Okay, so at this point they've set up the body and they're going to return to their positions and make a little bit of noise. The companions returned to the cave mouth, standing on either side of the entrance, hoping to flank whomever or whatever came calling after they'd raised the alarm. Imitating the shrill nasal hysteria of a panicked goblin as best he could. And I'm actually going to say that, I mean, Elbrindel is a rogue, that's her kind of her thing. Amos is a fighter, but he is a pirate, and I'm sure during one of his late night grog sessions with his crewmates, they probably would have played, you know, games of this nature, just sort of, whether it's charades or whether doing their imitations or impersonations. Maybe his performance is a little bit better, so he's going to go for it. Amos cried out loudly, and it's gonna be help! Help! Humans. Well, and they're even both humans, but that's good enough. Elbrindel is gonna find this amusing. Arching an eyebrow. Arching an eyebrow over Amos's impersonation. And actually what we're going to do is quickly roll a d20 and check and see precisely how good that was. So we'll see how well he did with that. A 5. Okay, it was bad. It was bad. Let's see if they, let's see what the reaction to that is as well. And we'll add, sort of like do a little bit of a perception, because they're far away, maybe. It didn't have to be great. A 9. I mean, it does beat it, but not by a whole lot. And, yeah, I think you guys can see it in YouTube, but I don't think I'm seeing it populate actually in the chat window. Correct me if I'm wrong, like the big chat window to the left. So, that may not be the case. Yes, in any case, it was not a great impersonation, which she judged to be quite poor, and we'll just leave it at that. Amos sheepishly shrugged. A bit of blush coming to his cheeks. Worked out a lot better in my head. He pissed, readying his weapon. Moments later, the sound of small, scrabbling footsteps could be heard echoing dully from within the cave. The noise intensified as the gaggle of goblins neared the entrance. And more than a few excited squeals reverberated off the stone walls of the cavern. And cool, they're coming up on the tripwire. Here's the question. how many of them are there, and do any of them see it? So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to say we're going to roll a 1d4 and add 1. Add 2 maybe. Let me decide on that really quickly. Yeah, I'm going to go with 1. We're going to do 1d4 plus 1. See how that shakes out. Okay, so that's 5. And I'm gonna roll just for 2 of them on their perception checks. A 6 is not gonna cut it, and honestly, neither is a 12 with the precautions that the group members have taken. So, no, they're not gonna see it, and let's see what's up with that. Okay. Squeals soon turn to shouts of dismay and confusion. However, as the monsters found themselves tripping over the wire that Elbrindel had set, two of the small creatures falling flat on their faces directly in front of Amos. We'll just leave it there. Okay, so right at this point, we're going to quickly roll some initiative and see how this particular encounter goes. So for Amos, 5. Although I'm going to give Amos and Elbrindel a surprise round. Amos gets a 5. Quickly pen that down. Amos, that's 5. Elbrindel gets a... Okay, well, she gets her dex too. Amos gets a +1. Elbrindel. We're going to do a dex here. She gets a +2. I had to check that real quick. Again, I'm really going to hate on the character mancer. Normally it's pretty good. That might have been some user error there, so we'll see. 2 + 2, so she's 4. I mean, unless you follow new math, I'm not sure how that works, but 4. Goblin Uno, 19. That's a good roll. Gobbo, he's part 2. He gets 13. They have no dex bonus. Anybody's wondering, so they get the raw roll. Jeeblin, 11. Anybody got some cute names for some goblins? Amos Hack, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to go back in there and check that out eventually, like I said. But yeah, if you got any cute names for these goblins, go ahead. You know, they may or may not survive the encounter. A teacup. Okay. Yeah, Teacup is a funny name. Let's go ahead and do that. Like that. Teacup. And I guess we'll go with that. And Gak, yep. Good one, Dave. Gak it is. Let's quickly go ahead and do a roll for them. 12 for Teacup. 18 for Gak. So these goblins are pretty intense. Right, so Amos and Elbrindel, we're going to give them a surprise round. And obviously he's going to attempt to stab. They are prone, so he does get advantage on his roll. And by that he means he gets to roll twice. 11 and a 4, and his dex bonus +1. What's his strength? +1 as well. So 12, yeah, that's fine on the goblin. Amos took full advantage of the situation, quickly falling upon the foe at his feet. His blade found purchase, and how bad is it? We're gonna do a quick check on that. That's good enough. These creatures are quite weak. And the goblins belly spilling its contents upon the sand. So that's it for Goblin Uno, unfortunately. That's a big X on you, sir. And Elbrindel, I mean, not going to be using her bow here. He's going to be using her knife. And she is going to do the same. Elbrindel darted forward, aiming the edge of her blade at the other fallen, defenseless, we'll call it, goblin's neck. And let's see how she does. Same situation here. The thing about her, actually, is being a rogue, 9, not good enough, even with her... Actually, what's her dex again? Plus 2. Nope, not good enough. Just 1 shy. 14 is good enough, however. In the situation with her, she's actually going to get to take that. I think she gets her sneak attack as well. Which she does, yep. And I have to quickly do a little bit of research on that. Been a while since I've played a rogue regularly. It's 1d6, so she gets to add another. Here, I was just curious as to whether it depended on what sort of weapon she used. Oh yeah, well that's 6 raw, and that's not even counting her bonus on her dagger, so more than enough. X that out and go back down here. It's more than enough, so Gobbo also X save. In seconds, it was over. We'll call it, we'll get fancy here, 1,000,000 sash, unclean, about the collarbone, lifeblood, splashing, freely. Then we'll go there, so that's 2 down. Now we're going to start the full round. There's 3 left. They are somewhat surprised, but they do get their full initiative at this point, having seen what's going on. So Gak gets to go first. One scraggly looking goblin, I mean his name is Gak, larger than the rest, and with a mohawk of fine black hair running from brow to the back of its pitted skull. Raised a crude war axe and charged at Elbrindel. Okay, and how's he gonna do here? Just gonna really quickly pop over to the stream and make sure that. Okay, I'm just gonna check chat. Okay, no WAP, unfortunately, but that might have been. You know what? I might have done it. I'm pretty amenable to that sort of thing. So we'll see. Alright, so Gak, he's got his war axe, he's ready to roll. He rolls a 10. That is not good enough for Elbrindel. It's close but no cigar. Write that up. However, in its apparent fury, swing went wide. Stone against stone is the head clattered off the nearby wall. Okay, so that's Gak. We've got Teacup next. Teacup, great name. Big fan of the Teacup name. And let's see how Teacup fares. Oh, Teacup with a 2. Teacup actually might just be in a pure stupor. It may not act. I mean, with a 2, I mean, that's a clear miss, but we're going to write it so that it's a little more interesting. You know, the thing about D&D, of course, is when you're telling the story, and you have a lot of players and they're sitting there invested, the swing and the ways that you can articulate that is interesting, but in sort of the project that we're doing, swing, miss, swing, miss, swing, miss, that sort of stuff could get a little bit repetitive. So sometimes with low rolls, I think I'm just going to right around that, and the end result will be the same. It's not really fudging it, it just makes things a little more dynamic. a small, sheepish looking goblin, and you know, we're building some empathy here. At the back of the pack, looked terrified to see its companions slaughtered in the blink of an eye. And stood stock still while clutching a tiny paring knife, frozen in place. Okay, so that's Teacup. Unfortunately, not super effective, but you know. And Jeeblin. We're gonna go with Jeeblin. How's Jeeblin looking out here? Teacup chips a tooth. Okay, that's not bad. That could happen. We'll see what happens next round. I mean, well, depends on how our protagonists do. Oh, Jeeblin on with the 13 actually will be successful, however. So our party members are a little bit of danger. Finally, a third survivor struck, springing from cave mouth with what are we gonna have here? We got a knife, we got an axe. I think he's gonna use a like a crude spear, crude iron spear in hand, hurling it at Amos as the pirate. No, it's the pirate stood over his kill. The spear took Amos in the thigh, and we will say sticking in place, and we'll just leave it at there. And I'm gonna roll the damage up for that, like a G6. Yeah, good to see people having fun in the chat. Again, I don't know why it's so strange. Sometimes it decides it's gonna work on the chat box, and then sometimes it decides it's not gonna work at all. And don't really know what to say about that, but we'll just continue pressing on. I want to quickly roll the damage on that small spear. Maximum, yep. Despite the small size of the weapon, it did cause Amos to wince in pain, dropping to one knee involuntarily. Yeah, so that's not good. That's not good. He cursed under his breath. Particularly damning his bad luck as it was. It's true, man. Amos has had some really piss poor luck over the last portions of the adventure, so you can't really hate him for that. So that's their turn. We're gonna go back up to Amos, who's going to reply in kind to this who's assailant, and we'll see how he does here. Maybe he's too weak. 14, however, is good enough. Red mist, rage settling over his vision. Amos shook off the spear wound and aimed a vicious thrust at the unprotected chest of his assailant. And he does so, and let's see how's... I know he doesn't really get rage, he's a fighter. He's not a barbarian, but this is all meant to be rhetorical, semantic rather than strictly according to the rules. And here we go. Yeah, 4 in his 1+1 strength is just enough as well. Metal easily slid deep into the goblin via monsters, ribs, breaking some and breaking some free, and we'll just leave it at that before breaking some free. Amos's foe's face twisted in agony, and then the goblin sank to the earth, defeated. So, that's the end of Jubilant. And it leaves Teacup and Gak. Elbrindel is going to target the large, angry Gak that had attacked her. We'll see how she shakes out with that. You can muster a reply. A 19 is going to do it. 4 again, sorry. Not a d6 for her. And her bonus is also enough. Appearing entirely placid in the face, in, this, in juxtaposition. Immediate juxtaposition because they're face to face. Immediate juxtaposition with the snarling, spittle, snarling face of the large, angry goblin. Elbrindel smoothly sidesteps. Sidestepped it while stabbing out with her knife multiple times. Her hands a blur. The point puncturing the kidneys and the kidneys, and that's enough. She twisted the hilts with each blow. She twisted the hilt cruelly with each blow, and shock soon took the monster to the ground. That's it. Well, no, we'll leave it there, and ending it quickly. I don't need to over elaborate that, right? We've got a lot of description here in this combat. And this leaves Teacup. And what is Teacup going to do? Teacup is going to run like hell. Teacup is not a combatant here. He's going to turn and run, and hopefully, not having come up on the tripwire, hopefully she doesn't trip. So I'm going to just roll a d20. Anything that's not a critical failure, she's going to run away. 3? Yeah, it's slow, but she's going to run. Elbrindel's going to take a shot. And we'll see if Teacup survives this one last shot from Elbrindel. So Elbrindel's going to take a turn to loosen the arrow. It's going to be still within range. And Elbrindel misses too. So it's Teacup's lucky day. Unfortunate for our party, but it is Teacup's lucky day. The last goblin shaking off its petrification in favor. Petrification. Yeah, that looks great to me. Favor. Panic. Turned on one heel and began sprinting clumsily deeper into the cave, not wanting to let any of the foul creations escape. Elbrindel calmly took out her bow, nocked an arrow, and let fly. Whether by intent or I don't think we'll say anything about that. Unfortunately, her arrow not fly true. Steering to the right and shattering against a slimy or stone wall. We'll say splintering. And that's damn it, Elbrindel. A cursed. Spat. Used cursed earlier. Tossing down her bow in disgust. And this is uncharacteristic of her. And, alright. So we're going to leave it at that encounter. But right now, we're going to have an array, guys. And what I want people to do here is, if we can, I'd like for people to give a description of any sort, like a physical description of what the cave might look like inside. Do we, or, you know, I'm going to put one in here just as an example. One. And we're going to have a quick dialogue, then we're going to move in. Craggy walls covered in thick moss. Lichen and mushrooms sprouting forth from irregular cracks. The cave is dank and even the air seems riddled with spores. So that's one. For example, just anything that you have in terms of a description. I do have a suggestion from earlier. Mark actually had given a bit of a description here, and some of it if you know if it's picked, we're gonna use it, and if not, that's fine too. But we're gonna cut and paste his in here. So 2 for Mark, a dark descent guided by a faint glow leading them onwards. A vast expanse opens to a subterranean alpine forest, which is crazy. I mean, but if it gets picked, that's how it goes. Illuminated by veins of a mysterious mineral striding the walls, etc., etc. Cave lit by the glow as a night embraced by full moon blackness. So very descriptive, good writing. Really appreciate the suggestion. I'm gonna check our chat. Yeah, see, our boys got it in chat right there. But I'll just give you guys a few seconds to think about that, and in the meantime I'll talk a little bit more, but I'll quickly jump over to the manual class here, and we're just gonna work on this. He's a fighter. He doesn't have a subclass, he doesn't have a sub-race, he's level 2. I think 13 is +2. No, it is the odd. It is the odds that you buy, so we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt over here in this character sheet. He's not the smartest, I do enjoy that. I believe he has a +2 to charisma. So see, just by changing this value, we've begun constructing the character sheet for Amos. The character mancer's flaws can be our gain to some degree here. Of course, I'll have to work on language skills, and I'll have to consult the handbook a little bit more to see what his proficiencies and stuff are, but they're all here. Personality traits, I mean, I'm just going to add a few, but he's pretty impetuous and assertive. And if he has any flaws, he has poor luck. I think we can definitively say that. Cool. We do have a couple of suggestions. Like it. Perfect. So I'm going to put that array in there. We've got 4, so that's perfectly fine in my opinion. For suggestions, thank you very much, Dave. I really appreciate the suggestion, and Jessica as well. And I've got marks in there, so we shall see. Matter of fact, mine is very similar to some of them, so I'm going to withdraw that. Let's go with 1, 2, 3. Here we go, guys. Drum roll, please. Everybody get set up, and we'll see how it's gonna go. It's strange how I have to put 3D1, it looks like, but... Oops. Wrong button. 3 it is. Dark rock walls, dampness dips for above, soaking sand floor, and there's a glowing fungus here and there. Okay. We'll keep that in mind after our little... Actually, I'm gonna just keep writing this dialogue super fast, and we'll move into that. This time, it was Amos who raised an eyebrow beneath furrowed. No, we'll leave there. Smirking slightly. We'll take the time to check these bodies before proceeding. But there's no way they don't know we're coming now. Umbrell nodded the frustration plain in her expression. And we'll leave it there. There's no need to go too deep into this. It was just a nice encounter. We wrapped it up. It was well descriptive. But we are going to do a really quick check for both of them just to see what quality the loot is here. It's probably not great. We do know that about the weapons that they have 6 on one side and a 1 on the other side. Yeah. Quickly checking the filthy pockets of the goblins, or at least the pockets of those wearing clothes beyond the loincloth. The companions found nothing but a trio of copper coins. And I will keep that in mind, that the 3 copper, we'll add that to a party fund at some point in time. And that's the end of that. Now we're going to move into the cave, and we have 3. Sword for your luck, Mark, that's just how it shakes out. Sword for your luck, Jessica, that's how it shakes out. And you know what, maybe we will actually. I mean, I might borrow some of the stuff from the other suggestions as well, as we move further in. But that will probably be something for another day. We're not quite to that point yet. So, dark rock walls, damp districts. Okay. Finally entering the cave. Stepping gingerly over the trap they'd set. Amos and Elbrindel surveyed their surroundings. Okay. And then that'll take, approaching low will be how they move next, but this paragraph is about the description that we've actually just rolled. Dark rock walls rose and flank them on either side, and a soft sandy floor supported their feet, though the dampness in the air made for slippery and inconsistent at intervals, creeping out of irregular cracks in the cave wall, strands, small and glowing mushroom caps lit the way. Their pitiful light was not enough to dispel the growing darkness. Amos cursed Amos was not cursed. Amos was reminded of his lack of dark vision. Shooting, Elliott, Lance, Elbrindel. Elbrindel does have dark vision, Amos doesn't. This could be actually quite a problem. And that might actually, that's an interesting thing. We're going to do a survival check here based on the mushrooms. And stopped her with a hand motion. Okay, so they're both going to do survival checks here. I did actually give Amos a during the character mancer, and I think it makes sense for him. Oh wow! Like for some reason, the chat did go totally insane. Yeah, so I have no idea how that worked. For some reason now there actually is a chat window. Don't ask me, guys. I can't really tell you what's up with that. But yeah, it just sort of all loaded at once. I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that a little bit more, but you know, it doesn't really matter. I can see you there. I can see you guys participating in the chat through my studio, so we're fine there. But we're gonna actually have Amos and Elbrindel do survival checks, and they're both proficient in it. And we'll just see what happens, because I think we might have a solution here. So let's do a survival check for Amos. 15 is a pretty good roll, especially where he's proficient. And how about Elbrindel? 7 is not nearly as good, so it does make sense for it to be Amos, and so he's going to come up with a solution here. That suggestion of, like, with the glowing fungi is going to play directly into this. Amos scooped off a handful of fungi. Geez, luminescent. No, of fungi. It's the luminescence. Blue-green luminescence of the toadstool caps. Mushroom caps. Giving off a glow, persistent glow. Gather enough of these together, and it might serve as a torch. It suggested something of a torch, like a torch. As a torch is fine. I mean, it's not actually technically a torch, but it's serving as one. And it suggested not wanting to be blinded as they went deeper into the cave. Clever. Didn't think you had it in you. Elbrindel retorted. Archly. She's got a sense of humor. It's starting to come out here, and I think their relationship's starting to develop a bit more. Alright guys, it's been a while. I know that we just got our chat back, and that's all exciting and all these things. Yeah, one up mushroom. But I think we're gonna leave it for there. We're gonna actually descend and do a little bit more exploration. I know we've had a lot of combat lately, and maybe there'll be more, but we're gonna call it there. I'm going to work on the character mancer and see what's going on with that. We'll work on completing those sheets. As well, I don't know what's up with the chat, like I said, but I'll investigate that. And we're going to come up with some additional fancy screens for the next stream. So, yes, I will draw the square. And that's a little bit of a Last Kingdom reference for those of you who enjoy the show. And, of course, Uhtred's speech patterns. But yeah, I think that the party's coming together well. I really appreciate everybody's suggestions. I know that Mark had written quite a good thing there with this subterranean alpine forest, and I mean we could shrink that down a little bit. So I'm not going to rule that out. That's kind of an interesting vision. So we'll see what happens there. But as always, want to thank everybody. Thanks for coming to the stream. I'm going to try and make this a weekly thing, Saturday or Sunday, whichever day it happens to be. It's best for my schedule. I know more people are free on the weekends. And actually, I might be starting to do some Let's Plays of like old school NES, Super Nintendo stuff just on this channel as well. Impromptu, not scheduled. So if anybody wants to join me in that adventure, I will likely be beginning that this coming week. So a little bit more on the stream. It's going to be more casual. Like I said, I'm just going to be chatting and talking about the game for 30-45 minutes maybe. We're going to go deep into the library, play some games some of you guys may not have heard of before, some that you have. Some of them will be RPGs, of course, in keeping with the theme. But in terms of this project, yeah, we're going to continue it on the weekends, and as always, thank you very much for your participation. I hope everybody had fun. Teacup, I mean, who knows about Teacup? I mean, it's a hilarious name. The character is starting to go places. It would almost be a shame to see it go the wrong way, but I'm also not holding back. I let Elbrindel take a shot at Teacup. So, Teacup is not entirely safe, but safe for now. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. And if anybody has any ideas on that score too, I'm more than willing to entertain them. Like I say, this is meant to be a shared storytelling experience, so if you have any suggestions, you have any comments, make sure that you lay them out there in the chat and have a good time with it. So that's it for today, folks. We will do episode 5, digging deep into the depths of the cave. We'll discover what lurks within, how large it is, any other creatures beside goblins, any other mysteries that may be contained within. Of course, this island has not been fully explored, and there are many, many, many mysteries to go. But thank you for joining me for Swords and Shipwrecks, and we will see you next time.